All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NBA pre-lock show. We have a nice two-gamer on deck. And it's been a pretty solid start to the season. Not going to lie, I always expect the worst. I'm just like, everyone's going to lose everything. Everyone's going to get mad. But there's some plays, like, the Tyson one didn't work out yesterday. But, man, a lot more went right than wrong. Your Davion Mitchell call at, 1% ownership was freaking sane. You even posted a clip of it on your Twitter. What's your Twitter handle? Is it B-Dub?
Yep, same as Discord, if you remember. B-Dub 540.
540. So if you're wondering if that actually happened, it did. He has a link to it on his Discord or on his Twitter. There's the DeRozan call. We were all over Victor Wembanyama. The only thing that really went wrong was Tyson. But
that's such a great night. Because even in the Discord before the slate started, I was like, man, I'm feeling a little too good for a 12 gamer. Like, I was getting worried, but I was just that confident in the guys that we called out, and good to see most of them work out. So
another one that missed was Booker sucked, but so many things went well. It was a positive night, so I'm gonna take that as a W.
One thing about him too is we put such a small min percent on him that he didn't really hurt us. So that's kind of why we do that.
Yeah, AD hurt a little bit too, and I think just in general moving forward, going up against Victor is gonna be tough for these bigs.
Yeah, he's just different. There's no words to explain him at all.
Yeah, agreed. Cujo, Fact 74, good stuff, y'all. Happy to see y'all. Tattoo, appreciate you as well. Yo mama's fave, it's been crazy, all the news going on with the betting, the poker, but it's been fun. I'm a sucker for drama, so I'm here for it. For those of you who don't know, we will go game by game. We'll just kind of show you what we're doing in the domination station. Brandon is showing his domination station, so you'll kind of see what he's doing. And we'll talk through strategy as well there. If you're interested in having access to the Discord, click the link in the description, and you'll be able to, if you pay for it, get a membership here at DFS Army and follow along with us, or you can do it with, whatever site you're using and just kind of follow those trends that we're doing. How are you feeling about the slate, Brandon? Nice two-gamer, big difference than from yesterday.
Pretty good. I'm kind of worried about this first game staying competitive, but at least both sides have some nice plays we can get to tonight. But definitely excited to see this last one here. I think that one will be the game of the night for sure.
Yeah, unless the Thunder go to double overtime again, then you can toss all that out the door. All right, sweet. Everyone's talking about everyone getting busted. It's freaking crazy. Let's see. Yeah, we've been on a good run. Hopefully we can keep it up. Is there an updated domination station NBA tutorial for NBA? Really from the beginning, there's not really too much different. And then we pretty much show you what we're doing in the domination station. So if you have any specific questions, you can ask us on this show. Two Gamer, we have a lot of time. Or you can ask us in the Discord, and we're happy to help you out there too.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much what we're doing now is the most up-to-date you'll get because, just like you've seen the last couple of days, we don't change much. These are all my settings right here. Tournament mode, leave it on projection, one unique, set your lines, amount of lines, no rando. And I don't touch anything up here or the cap.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's talking about locking out Scott Foster and the refs. I had a comment about that earlier in the Discord. I won't, this sounds bad, but the ones who, and even players, if they're betting on their overs, low-key, I'm all for it, but betting on your unders is some BS. All right. And then that's pretty much it from the comments. Let's jump into this slate. Starting off, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder going up against the Indiana Pacers. For the Thunder tonight, when it comes to injury news, they're missing some guys. Jalen Williams is still out. We got the news earlier that Cason Wallace is going to be out. That's why you're going to see guys like Wiggins and Mitchell pop way more than we did earlier today. And then Alex Caruso was out as well, which should make the rotation a little bit more clear. And then just to wrap things up, Isaiah Joe is out for this team too. So the Pacers are missing a lot of guys. The Thunder are missing a couple of guys. What are you doing with this team tonight?
Yeah, so this side of the ball will be where most of our value comes from. So I will be getting a lot of pieces here. I'm going to try this for second time, but SGA I will be under on. Only thing Manuel I did with him was put a 10% min just to have some exposure to him with it being a 2-game slate. But there's so many good 5 to 6K players on this slate. So pretty much what it came down to me for me was SGA or Jokic. Pretty easy choice for me is Jokic. So I'm naturally under on SGA just due to how much Joker I have. So that is a little scary, but it's just one of those kind of stands you have to take on a small slate like this. So only will have 10% on him, but guys like Dort, I'll have quite a bit with Caruso and Wallace out. I like him a bit more than I did last game. He still has a great price, and I like his usage enough in this matchup to where I'm feeling a little more confident with someone like him tonight. So hopefully he can pay that off. And then I think AJ Mitchell's still too cheap. Last game was enough for me to see him come back and smash. He shot the ball really efficiently. So in this kind of high pace matchup, definitely want to make sure I'm over the field on him. I think I'm around 55%, 53%, somewhere around there on him. And then Wiggins, I know he sucked, and I know a lot of you guys will probably be wanting to fade him tonight, but just keep in mind what kind of upside he has. And again, Caruso and Wallace are out, so he's someone else who should benefit from those guys being out. And he's even cheaper, almost $1,000 cheaper than he was last slate. So definitely comfortable with him. And then I mentioned Chet too. I think I was around fill weight around 30%. He still had a decent price, and he looked pretty good last game. I think he kind of surprised a lot of people with how aggressive he was on offense. He was kind of looking KD-esque with those middies he was taking, and even took Şengün and a couple other guys to the rack. So definitely don't mind some Chet tonight.
Yeah. Did you touch on your caps? It looks like you capped a couple of guys.
Yeah, I did cap Dort. I was getting like 80+%, and we just have a bunch of other value to where I didn't want to get too crazy on him. So I did cap him at 70. And then one more guy I mentioned too that I missed was Jalen Williams. He's another value guy who sucked last game, but I think he should play a bit better. And again, if this game doesn't stay close and it's a blowout, I think he does get a little more run too. So 3,200 is just a little too cheap for what he can do.
Yeah, I am with you. We're playing a ton of these guys. It's just the way it is. I have a 10% min on SGA too, just to kind of make sure he shows up. If you don't put a min on him, he'll show up in about 6% of your lines, which is fine. It's just hard for me to prioritize him versus some of the other studs on this slate. So I think we have a similar thought process there. Obviously, he's a good player. Plenty of reasons to play him. Just have a little bit less than the field at this point. Lou Dort is showing up as a core play for me. My thought process here is there is a decent chance this game blows out. Dixon, I saw you were asking about that. So is this going to be a blowout? It wouldn't shock me if the Thunder really do dominate this team, which is part of why I'm okay with being a little under the field on SGA. But everyone else is priced where they can definitely still get there, even if the game does blow out. So you look at a guy like Chet, 7,500, much softer matchup. Was I scared on Tuesday that he was going to go off? Yeah, I was. That guy's a beast. But the matchup was still tough, so it limited his upside. This matchup is significantly softer for him. He definitely can do what he needs to do here and be strong. Let's see, what else do I have outside of this? I have a 50% min on AJ Mitchell. He just wasn't showing up enough for me by himself at 3,800. And with the blowout risk here, very confident in that. Same story of Jalen Williams. I have a 20% min on him to make sure he shows up a good bit. You're right. Lou Dort is a terrifying core, but at 4,300, I'm okay with it. I have an 80% exposure maximum on Lou Dort, so he won't be in every single lineup, but he'll be in the vast majority. Aaron Wiggins, I'm over the field on. We talked about Chet already. Oh yeah, Isaiah Hartenstein. Have you talked about him? What are your thoughts on him?
No, I missed him too. I'm at 23%, and I don't feel strong enough on him to force more of him. So I'm definitely fine being slightly under the field there.
Yeah. I'm right at 33%, and I didn't do anything to him in the DS. That's just happening naturally. So as I continue to do more runs, he might fall, but more than likely he'll probably stay kind of like where you have him, Brandon. Somewhere in that 25 to 33 range is where I expect him to stay. And then that's pretty much everyone. There's no strong fades here, even though we have kind of talked about SGA a good bit. So we'll be nervous about that one. Next up, we have the Pacers side of this game. Of course, there's the obvious of Halliburton not playing. TJ McConnell is hurt as well, but nothing else, nothing new here because this team hasn't played yet this season. So how do you see things playing out from the Pacers' point of view?
I'll start with the obvious. Matherin, he's at a great price, 6K. No Hallie, and McConnell's out too, so he's definitely going to be a guy they're counting on tonight.
I was hoping he was going to be sneaky because
Yeah,
no one was drafting him in best ball. So I was like, oh yeah, no one's going to play him. And then of course
yep,
he's the chalk.
yep. So I did cap him at 70 as well, just to kind of get some other guys right where I wanted them. Siakam, this one kind of worries me a bit too because we've seen many times when Hallie doesn't play, Siakam is that next guy up who kind of takes over, and he has quite a bit of upside, like 50 to 60 point upside. So he does scare me with how much I have, but again, you just got to take stands. I put a 10% min on him just to have some lines alive, but where I'm going elsewhere is just how it has to be. So don't hate the play, but I do like other guys a bit more than him. Nimbard, I wanted at least to match the field because, again, with no Hallie, he's going to be the main ball handler, and he is usually really solid in situations like this, although the matchup will be a bit tougher for everyone here.
Yep.
And then Neesmith, I just had to – he kind of worries me too because when his shot is falling, he can definitely pay this price off, but when we talk about some of the other guys around his price range, you'll kind of understand why I'm a bit under on him. But I did put a 10% min on him too, just to have some exposure because I was only getting like 1 to 2. So wanted to cover my bases there. Jay Huff, I do like him quite a bit. This team's big situation kind of reminds me of Hornets, where I kind of mentioned Kalkbrenner coming off the bench. Jay Huff is kind of a similar play like that yesterday, and just a cheap value guy that I want to get in the mix and can easily pay this 3,400 price tag off. So I do like him quite a bit and have a 20% min there. I thought about Obi because we've seen him have those crazy games where nobody's really on him. But again, when you look at other guys, specifically on Denver, who's around the same price as him, I just couldn't do it. So, again, won't talk you off of him, but just another stand I'm taking to where I'm kind of going under on top of him. And then 2 more mins I put on was on Shepard and Furphy. And again, they're just some more cheap value plays I wanted to throw in the mix because they both have that potential to be those random turds that no one's on, and especially Shepard when his shots falling, and with the lack of guards that they have, he can be sneaky for sure too. So you don't have to go there, but I don't mind taking that risk on a 2-game slate.
Yeah, especially because they're not unowned. You know, if they're seeing ownership and this game does blow out, that's just something I'm gonna have exposure to if I'm MMEing. Not something you would do in like single entries, but if you're MMEing, you just kind of have to have some exposure to those weird scenarios. I'm gonna follow you on Huff. I like that 20% call. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm matching the field on Shepard and Furphy. I have a 20% min on Siakam, not to try and one-up you a little bit, but just need to force some exposure there. It wouldn't shock me if he does nothing, just because OKC is a tough defense, but this team, they've seen each other at this point a good amount. So I just want to make sure I'm not having I just want to make sure I have exposure to a guy that we've seen be explosive, even in these tough matchups. Nimbard at 6,400 is going to be a leverage play for me today. I have a 50% min on him. He should do everything for this team. We're going to keep saying it. This matchup's brutal, but he's not like 7 or 8K. So at this price tag, he just feels a little underpriced for the role he should have on this team, which is ball handling and doing pretty much everything. So we'll see what happens there. Mathurin, we already talked about him. He's the core of the play, he's basically the chalk of the slate. And then Nesmith, I have a 25% min on, just matching the field. Isaiah Jackson, he's coming back from that injury. Preseason, he was a little slow. He wasn't doing too much. But we're at the regular season now. I am going to force exposure here, mostly just because he's a low-owned play that has had upside before in the past on a 2-game slate. Awful play on paper, but it's something I'm still going to do. So I have a 10% min on him. And then Obi Toppin, I have a 15% min on. The same story here of all these guys. Awful matchup, but we've seen them surpass that before. And the Pacers have a deep rotation. They're going to ride the hot hand. And so if any of these guys get hot, they're going to be desperate for points, and they'll keep having every opportunity. And so this is just one of those spots. I just want to make sure I have exposure to the guy, so I'm not sitting on the outside looking in. So interesting, little first game. I agree with you, though. The second game is where I think most of the money will be made from like a smart play perspective. We have the Denver Nuggets going up against the Golden State Warriors. For the Nuggets tonight, they're healthy. They're not missing anybody. For me with the Nuggets, I'm forcing exposure to Jokic. I have a 50% min on him. I just want him to show up a bit more. One of my favorite plays I'm looking forward to watching and playing are guys like Cam Johnson. Not Cam Johnson, but Cameron Johnson. Same thing. I have a 35% min on him. He is a much better scorer than MPJ. I'm pretty sure you've heard that already a ton. But on a better team in a good game environment, I'm going to take some shots on him. I want to be over the field. I'd rather be early than late, especially at a pretty decent price tag. Brown, I have a 30% min on. Just one exposure. Christian Brown there. And then outside of that, the only other guy I'm forcing exposure to is Bruce Brown. Ugly play, but he's been on this team before. Coaching staff, they trust him. At this price tag, it just wouldn't surprise me if he's a little bit more involved than we're expecting. Again, it's just an 8% min for me here, so nothing too crazy, but just another spot I don't want to miss out on. And then when it comes to the DS, let's see, Jamal Murray is showing up over the field. I didn't force that. I feel pretty indifferent about Jamal Murray. It wouldn't shock me if he kills it tonight, but I'm not going to force exposure to that. And that's pretty much it. Who are you liking from the Nuggets?
Yeah, quite a bit of the guys here. Pretty much all their starters plus Bruce Brown. So Jokic is the obvious. He has the highest upside on the slate. I also love attacking this Warriors front court, who usually play a bit smaller. So he should have his way against Golden State tonight. Kind of feel the same about Jamal Murray. I don't have to do too much about him. He's just kind of showing up naturally, 51%. So definitely fine with that. And he's another guy who, when his shot is falling, he has 50 to 60 point upside. So definitely don't mind him whatsoever. Christian Brown and Cameron Johnson are two of the guys in that 5K range that I was talking about. Is the reason why I don't like some of the other guys on Indiana, especially Brown, who's just 100 more than Obi. I think he does a bit more than him tonight. He does a little bit of everything. I'm super excited to see Cam tonight. He should get quite a bit of good looks at the three with the way Jokic and Murray dish the ball around the floor. So I threw a like on him, and I am at 45%. So definitely am happy with that. Threw him in on Gordon too, because again, I like attacking this front court. He's the one guy I'm not as confident on, especially with Cam Johnson in the mix now. But again, Warriors play pretty small, and I think this is a spot where Gordon can do well too at this price. And then kind of like you, Bruce Brown, probably really don't need to go here. I wish he was a bit more cheaper in the 3K range, but he should be the main guy off the bench. We've seen what he's done on this team before. He's that guy that just brings the energy and kind of gets everybody going. So definitely want to take a shot on him at 5% ownership. So
yeah, I totally forgot. I also have a 20% min on Aaron Gordon, so a little bit less than you, but I'm with you on it. Are we missing anyone? Like, did you think about Joe Val at all or anything like that?
I did. He's a little too expensive for me, and I don't think he plays enough meaningful minutes to pay this price off. I thought about Hardaway too, but again, I think they stick to their starters quite a bit tonight, and then Bruce Brown will kind of be that guy, that rotational guy who picks up a bit more minutes than him. So I don't trust that. that, and then Peyton Watson kind of falls in that category too. So the only way I kind of see these guys really doing much is if somebody's like in foul trouble or gets hurt or something, or even a blowout. So just not enough safety in the minutes for me to feel good about playing any of these guys down here.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought process. I thought about it. I was like, could be interesting, but couldn't find any reason to do it.
Yep.
So they're in prove it territory until further proven otherwise. Next up, we have the Warriors side of this game. The Warriors, they're missing Moses Moody. Doesn't change things too much for me. The key things I'm doing here, I do have a 26% min on Curry. Yeah, he's pricey. I just like this game more than the other games, and I'm going to prioritize Curry. We talked about it on Tuesday, and the lesson's still true. Curry's fantasy points per minutes are still looking really solid, not seeing a dip here if everyone healthy. Probably the craziest thing I'm doing is I have a cap on Jimmy Butler. He's in a great spot. He's a good play, but I don't hate Jimmy Butler, but I hate playing him in DFS. So I have a 50% exposure maximum on Jimmy Butler. I'm just not going to be significantly over the field, but in the literal sense, I am over the field on him right now. So if he goes off, he goes off. Still sitting pretty. If he doesn't, half my lines are still alive. And then that's the only forced men I have. Kuminga is borderline a core play for me on this slate. He was fantastic last time out. We were ahead of the game on that play. Glad that came through. Hopefully he can keep it up. I like that they're giving him more run. And in a positive game environment, that's not something I'm trying to limit. Talked about Curry. And then Pods. Podziemski's showing up for me right around field weight exposure. Kind of like Jamal Murray. I'm a little indifferent here, but I'll live with the exposure I have to him. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I do like Butler quite a bit. I think he's a bit too cheap. He looked great last game. He should be somebody who's priced over 8K. So definitely going to take advantage of him while he's still in this price range. Like you said, we hit on Kuminga. I'm pretty sure we were close to double the field on him last slate. So so glad that Kerr kind of got out of his own way and wised up to play this guy.
For now, you can't expect too much
For
from
now, but he's $100 cheaper than last slate, so zero reason not to go back to him tonight. So he will be a core play for me along with Butler. Podziemski, I think I was under the field on. I'm not a fan of him. Yeah, I'm only at 17%. I'm not a fan of him when Butler and Curry are in, just because they both soak up so much usage. Podziemski relies on his shot more than anything else. So that's just another fade or underplay I'm willing to stomach tonight. If he was a bit cheaper, I would be okay being around fill weight, but definitely fine being under.
Holy crap, his ownership
Dre
went up a little bit.
Yeah.
Pods. Earlier I thought he was a little bit closer to just 20 flat, but now he's close to 30.
Yeah. So Yeah, I'm definitely fine fading that. Draymond, I don't think his salary is needed as much as it was the last game. He was 5,700 last time, which he did well. He does what he always does. He filled up the stat sheet, so not against him, but not forcing him in with some of those other guys we have at the 5K range who I think will play better. But again, I wouldn't talk you off of him. I think I'm under on him as well.
Yeah.
Don't even see him. So
Yeah, the sweet spot is like that 6K with like Matherin, Cam Johnson, Kaminga. It gets really good there. And
I
that's
think this is a game where he can get into some foul trouble too. And I mean, we already saw that last game where he got that tech super early. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened tonight.
Yeah, we see it pretty often. The Warriors against the Nuggets, and just in general, almost any team against the Nuggets. Jokic and his elbows, man, always gets people into foul trouble. Anything else here that you like?
I can't remember if I mentioned Curry, but I'm just going under on him too. I wish he was a bit cheaper, but just the way I have my other exposures, couldn't really get too much of him. Same like I did with some of the other studs, just put 10% min on him. And then the only other thing I was going to mention is these guys are just a no play for me. Like they're just a little too inconsistent. If Buddy was in the 4K range, then I would take a shot on him. But I mean, you can just look back at last game. These guys, most of these guys had snowflakes. So the way they run their rotation, so hard pass for me once you get below Draymond.
Yeah, the one guy I would say you can consider is a guy like Will Richard, 3,200. This coaching stuff, all they do is talk about how much they love that guy. I'm not playing him, but he's one of the slightly more viable guys in that range than the rest. All right. That's pretty much it when it comes to just like our breakdown. Let's get to some of these questions. I've seen y'all in the chat. Let me go all the way up to the top and kind of see what we missed. Looks like the first one is from Tattoo, where he said, B-dubs, lower owned single entry play. What are your thoughts?
So lower owned on a 2-game slate will be a bit tougher. A guy who I think might be lower owned in single entries is Cameron Johnson. So he's probably my favorite single entry play of the night.
Yeah, man. Cam, just because he was on the Nets for so long, makes me a little nervous because it's like, oh man, now you're on the big stage. Can you handle it? Can you handle it? But I think he can at 5,900. Let's see. Ivan, yeah, Trey Jones and Clayton, those did work out pretty well yesterday. There is a code in the description. It's my code. It's BOB for a 10% discount. But, if you don't want to use that, you can use B-dubs. And his is BDUBB for a 10% discount. So, you have options if you are not a DFS Army member. All right. Y'all use question marks so often just in the chat in general. That's what I'm looking for when I'm looking for questions. And y'all are just toss them everywhere. Ricky said, how about Nesmith or Matherin? We touched on it. Matherin's a core play. And then what did you do with Nesmith, Brandon?
I am under on him. Unfortunately, that's just how it worked out with how I tweaked my other exposures.
Yeah, you're prioritizing game 2. And I think that strat makes sense. I had a 25% min, but I'm moving it to 20 just because it looks like his ownership dropped a little bit. And I'm just trying to match the field here. Don Play said, question, with Wallace out, does Dort and Wiggins and Mitchell get more time? Yes, they do. What happened to that bad white boy on the Pacers? TJ McConnell, he's hurt, Tattoo. He is hurt. Unfortunately, he would have been everybody's favorite play today if he was on. Let's see here. I hear you, Arson, fading Matherin. He is high, seeing a lot of ownership, and These Pacer guys, they've
knock
burned
on
people
wood,
plenty
he
times.
has been a chalk bus many times. So
Yeah. Yeah. Would not be the first time.
yep.
Appreciate you, Phil. Arson, you see Siakam and Nimbard. Yep, I don't disagree with you. Smoking, you got burned by the cheap players last night. I know there's Tyson. Tyson's the one that's standing out in my mind who sucked. But were there any others like players? None of them worked out. That's just not true. That's just not true. There was Clayton who worked out. There's
I was gonna say we called out
Tony.
so many cheap
Like,
guys. Kalkbrenner smash, Clayton smash. Like
maybe I'm just pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So there's Tyson. I'll give you Tyson. Tyson definitely didn't work out, and he was in a ton of my lines. Do you miss JaVale McGee, Brandon?
No.
That's a thing. We touched on Nesmith already. What about with Buddy? What are you doing there?
Too expensive for me. Sorry.
Yep, I'm with you. Let me double check. He's not showing up in any lineups that I might have missed. Nope, he's just not there. A little bit too pricey for me as well. AJ Mitchell, yeah, he's playing tonight. Yeah, he's someone that I want exposure to. He's a leverage play for me, and I know Brandon, you like him a good bit too. Don Play, we will have cores listed on DFS Army's website at least by 7, right, Brandon? You might already have yours up there.
Yeah, mine are up already.
Yeah. Any Walker at 3K? Do you have any, Brandon, or just any thoughts on Walker?
I don't. If you are playing for a blowout narrative, I definitely don't mind that. But outside of that, if it stays somewhat close, I just don't think he sees enough minutes to be a difference maker. I could be wrong, but not something I'm willing to take a chance on.
You. Osid said min OKC 3 or 4. I don't really force a certain number of players, but do you have more thoughts on that, Brandon?
Yeah, no, it's a 2-game slate. All the values there. I'm not really too concerned with how many I'm getting.
Eric said last spot, Hundos, Holmgren or Butler? For me, it's Holmgren.
Butler for me. So
head to head, we'll see who wins. Buckeyes, what's up? He said, who are your key must-have guys for 20 max? Do you want to start, Brandon, or I can touch on it?
I mean, I kind of already mentioned most of them. We talked about Mathurin. I talked about how much I love Butler and Kuminga. Jokic, of course. I would probably lock Jokic in a 20 max. So there's a few just to name some.
Yeah, and even though I have a 50% min on Jokic, right now he's showing up in 75% of my lines for whatever
I have 80.
You have 80? Yeah, so we have a ton of him, even though I like the mid-range so much that, I don't know. I don't feel the need to lock him like I did with Jokic on Tuesday. Or not Jokic, but with Doncic on Tuesday. My guys I feel like you really need to have are guys like AJ Mitchell, Andrew Nimbard, Cam Johnson would be my 3 guys I would want to just make sure are showing up a little bit over the field. Any run for Gary Payton tonight? He'll definitely see some run. But what are your thoughts on how he does while he's out there, Brandon?
Yeah, no. I mean, I think we saw a glimpse of it last game. He got run, but just did absolutely nothing. They just have too many guys that get way more usage for him to kind of be a factor. So I like other value a bit more than him.
Ricky said, do you think you need more than one turd in the winning lineup? For those of you who don't know, turd is an NFL term we use a lot for just really shitty players. And even more than that is like the really bad, low-owned plays, not really like chalk, low cheapies. What are your thoughts on this, Brandon? If you don't have an answer, I can give one too.
I mean, I think so. We have a lot of guys, especially in that 4K range. Like, I mean, just Dort and Wiggins in this first line. I would not be surprised if they were both in the nuts. And especially when you have a guy like Jokic, and even if you're playing SGA, you're definitely going to a lot of people are going to need some of these value guys. So I definitely see it. Now, if you're talking about like the lower on some of the other lower on guys, then probably not more than one.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Like, I'll have a couple of lineups where there's one or two of like the really cheap pacers who aren't seeing any ownership, or Jay Huff, like those kind of guys. And like I mentioned, I'm forcing some exposure to guys like Obi and Jackson who are turds. Like they're not good players, and that's why no one's playing them. But it wouldn't shock me just if these games get a little gross and we see one or two guys of that really bad caliber. And so that's why I'm forcing exposure to that, because I do think it's a little bit more likely on this slate. So do you need more than one? No, but I do like having at least one if I'm playing multiple lineups for a tournament winning lineup. Living said, will James Wiseman play tonight? Did you look at James Wiseman at all?
No, just because between Jackson and Huff, they're going to get the bulk of the minutes, and then they have Tony Bradley off the bench too. So I'm not even going to think about touching Wiseman. If you're getting super turdy, that's a true definition of a turd tonight. He's usually only in play when like someone's hurt or something.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't love it. Thoughts on Isaiah Jackson on FanDuel at 4,300? I wish I was playing on FanDuel, actually.
Yeah, much better price on FanDuel for sure. So I
Yeah.
definitely don't hate that.
And Jackson's ownership has gone down, so I don't need as much exposure. Now I only have a 5% min on him. But on FanDuel, I like having 10%. Like, that's just not crazy. At 4,300, much better play over there. Ooh, you had Tyson and Zaire Williams. Zaire Williams was one of those turd plays that just ended up sucking. I forgot about him.
Yeah. I ended up capping him too, so
Yep.
He didn't hurt too much.
Yeah, he fell for me too. Some. Mike said, how much J Will on FanDuel is too much? He's not popping at all on FanDuel. I'll pull up their price tag.
Yeah, too. I was about to say, let me see their price first.
FanDuel pricing has been intense.
Crazy. Ooh, 3,700. And you can play him at power forward too. He's only 10%. We're showing 9% ownership. I would be fine with especially if you're doing 150. I wouldn't mind like 15 to 20. I probably wouldn't go over 20.
Yeah, I think that's a good risk balance of being able to be over the field, but you're not forcing or putting yourself in a situation where you're screwed if he does absolutely nothing. Ivan said not DFS, but do you guys prefer OKC by 7 or money line? I mean, definitely the money line is like the safer play, but
yeah.
I thought about taking a shot on the 7-point spread, but with just some of the injuries, it's a little tough for me to see how these two teams match up against each other right now. And so I don't know because the Thunder like to play small a little bit, and that's why they will use Caruso over a guy like Hartenstein. But now Hartenstein is playing, and he's going to have to see more minutes with Caruso out, and assuming the big lineup works. But if it doesn't work against a team like the Pacers, who are a little bit smaller sometimes, then things could get a little weird. So that's why I'm not playing with the spread. I think OKC will win for sure. Let's see. Derek said, would you play Joker and Alexander? Do you have a strong opinion on this?
Yeah, I mentioned it at the top of the show. The way I'm playing, it's one or the other for me. There's just too many good guys in the 5 to 6K range. If you try to force, you can definitely do it for sure, but if you try to force both of them, then you're playing a little too many of those 3 to 4K guys that aren't even guaranteed to do well. So I don't want to rely on them more than I have to.
You know what's weird? You don't see too many people just say Alexander.
That threw me off for a second. I was like,
no, I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I agree with what you said there. It's not bad to play both. Like it's fine to have a couple of lines, but I wouldn't go too crazy with it.
I'm curious how much of that is showing
up. Adam B-Dub said Butler. I said Chet.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. And my 150, I only have 5% of SGA in my Joker lines. I'm curious to see what one looks like. Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 to 4K guys. I don't know if I want that.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's not crazy, but I just like the way lines look better minus one of these guys.
Yeah, I really don't, especially with like Jalen Williams there at 3,200. That's what makes a lot of it work. And since I like him tonight, those lines don't look terrible. I don't have a lot of them, but if it pops off, I think my lines are pretty strong that do have it. So that's probably part of why I'm not going to force more. Let's see here. Smoking, we touched on the single entry piece a little bit earlier. Who was it Cam or who was your guy for single entry again, Brandon?
Cam was just like the lower owned one, or at least who I think would be lower owned. Because like I said, on a 2-game slate, it's hard to find like a Davion Mitchell or any of those other guys we mentioned. But lower owned would be Cam Johnson. Must have, I would say, would probably be Jokic, to be honest. Like if I'm playing single entry, he's a must for me.
Makes sense. Green Tongue Man said best captain for Pacers game. Honestly, man, the best guy for single entry, or not single entry, but showdowns is TK Moss. He's so good at them. I don't have a strong lean, but who do you like here, Brandon? I mean, I don't have the pricing information. That's part of why I'm not.
Yeah, I hate answering questions when I don't look at all the pricing.
So honestly, I would reach out to TK Moss in the Discord is what I would advise because he's fire on those. OG, don't give me hope, man. Don't give me something to believe in. I would love for that to happen. I have a Knipple interview going on my phone. That's what just went off. But man, if the Panthers made the Super Bowl, it wouldn't be against the Eagles because same conference. But man, I would cry. Oh, NFC Championship, yeah, that would be incredible. It's not going to happen, at least not this year, but one day I can dream. Malik said, bet of the night, Indiana money line. Okay, that's like a Jazz play, man. That's pretty much you're thinking Nimbard, Siakam go off. That's one of those. If you like the money line, you probably won't Siakam. Do you agree with that, Brandon, or am I looking at that wrong?
Yeah, I mean, if they cover the spread, he has to be having a hell of a game for sure.
Yeah. But I don't think that's super likely. But hey, man, I hope it hits. I would have said the same thing about the Jazz last night. I didn't think they were going to beat the Clippers. So who knows there? OG said, Brandon, what's the sneaky G14 classified gym for tonight?
Yeah, I'll go back to Cam Johnson again.
Yeah, we've been talking about Cam this whole game at this point, our whole show. I made a lineup look pretty good with both of them too. Yeah, I think you can make one or two that look solid. I think if you get into like that 5 to 10 range, they probably start to look a little bit more questionable. Dart or Bruce Brown on FanDuel? You have a lean here?
Dort.
Or he probably meant Dort, yeah.
Yeah, Dort.
Yeah, I was like, are we talking about football here, man? Like, what Dart is playing? But yeah, Dort for sure, even on FanDuel. I'm stacking Pacers and OKC. Not a bad strat. Not a bad strat at all. All right, y'all. We just went through most of the questions. We'll stick around for a little bit longer, just in case any more come through. But I don't know. I feel solid about this slate. How are you feeling about it at this point after we kind of ran through everything?
Yeah, I do too. I am a little worried about some of the guys I'm under on, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we gotta take our shots. You can't play everybody. If SGA goes off, it's just on to tomorrow. All right. Well, that's gonna be it, y'all. Good luck tonight. No show tomorrow, but we'll be back on Monday. So of course, B-Dub and the rest of the coaches will be available in the Discord tomorrow and this weekend to give you advice on what we're doing. But with tactics tomorrow, we usually don't go live. So peace out. Good luck. See you all on Monday.